By 1980, with interest rates sky high and double-digit inflation, the automotive industry faced difficult times. Chrysler Corporation received $1.5 billion in the first automotive federal loan bailout. Dealerships once again relied on their service departments to compensate for a decline in sales.
82 was scary because prime rate went to 20.75%. We were paying 1 over prime for floor planning, 21.75%, and I didn't know if I was going to make it through the year. And that came about because inflation got out of control and they just kept moving interest rates. And cars were repriced about every other month. We got an increase in car prices, and that and the interest rate combined was something else.
While dealerships were struggling, the association was also experiencing financial trouble. Paul McMillan was hired to manage the association's operations. He would go on to lead PAA over the next 30 years, growing and reshaping the association through strategic partnerships and innovative entrepreneurship.
I think, like so many people who've been active in PAA over the years, you immediately think about Paul McMillan. And he came to my law firm and talked about having an attorney who could develop expertise in the franchise law of Pennsylvania.
After years of negotiations, PAA was successful in 1984 in achieving legislation to rewrite and enhance the licensing laws of 1965. The Board of Vehicles Act clarified the powers and procedures of the board and provided the first protections for dealers from manufacturer overreach. Legislative victories would continue throughout the decade, helping dealerships as the industry continued to change and as federal and state regulations began to control more and more of the business. Vehicles began to change drastically. Gone were the boxy cars of the past in favor of rounded designs and improved fuel efficiency. The average cost of a new car in 1990 was $16,000, and dealerships sold approximately 475 cars per year. In Harrisburg, PAA was working to strengthen the Board of Vehicles Act, curtail unlicensed activity, and ensure protections from unfair manufacturer practices. In 1995, Tom Ridge was elected governor of Pennsylvania. PAA's strong relationship with the governor's administration resulted in tremendous opportunities for growth. PAA entered into a partnership with PennDOT and an online provider to register vehicles online. Roundtables with regulatory agencies and PAA representatives led to regulatory relief for dealers and a more business-friendly working relationship with government. Computers were first used at PAA in 1970. Through the 1980s, as technology advanced, changes began to be seen in dealership operations, in a car's engine and on its dashboard, and in how information was recorded and stored. PAA's education and training services grew in popularity. More than 60,000 dealership employees and their dependents were covered by PAA's insurance products, and PAA operated a printing press, producing everything from the PAA News Bulletin to dealership marketing materials.
In 1999, General Motors announced it would purchase and operate 10% of its dealerships, directly competing with franchise dealers. Ford and Saturn were also considering eliminating franchisees in certain markets in favor of manufacturer-operated stores. Early in 2000, legislation drafted by PAA to prohibit manufacturer ownership of dealerships was introduced in the House of Representatives with 150 co-sponsors. Similarly, a companion bill was introduced in the Senate with 36 of its 50 members co-sponsoring the initiative. During this combative legislative exercise, a hearing was held in which dealer representatives testified in support of the bill, while General Motors in particular continued to fight to own dealerships. When the dust settled, in a monumental legislative victory, manufacturer ownership was prohibited in Pennsylvania.
While the 1980s and early 1990s saw recession and a diminishing dealer body, the 1990s were a time of strength in economic growth, in new partnerships, and in the leadership that carried the association into the new millennium.